And if you want to show the Arts and Commerce Hub. I can give you my email.
Hey. 5-second warning. Oh no, it's 4:30. Okay, it's 4:30. I'm calling the meeting to order and acknowledging the District of Tofino operates from the territory of the Tla-o-qui-aht First Nation, Tla-o-qui-aht Notice to attendees that the meeting is being video recorded and will be published in the District of Tofino's YouTube channel. Notice to virtual attendees to sign up for public comment and question period using the Q&A function in Zoom. To register, participants are required to enter their full name, residential address, agenda item they wish to speak to. Do unanimous consent if there are no objections. I move that pursuant to section 15 of the District of Tofino Figure Bylaw number 122, amended the November 4, 2025 regular meeting be held electronically via Zoom and live broadcasted on the District of Tofino's channel, and that the facility provided for the public to watch and hear the meeting be located at Lakewood Sound Theatre, 380 Campbell Street, C. And before we can move to adopting the agenda, there's an amendment. This is from staff. And so from the chair, I'm going to move to remove items 10.5 and 10.6 from the agenda, and that the agenda be adopted as okay. Any further comments from council? All in favor? Opposed, and Councillor Steer second. The consent agenda. If there are no objections, I will move that items 4.1 to 4.5 of the consent agenda of the regular council meeting held November 4th, 2025 be approved and received. No objections noted. That motion. Mayor's report. We have just a public announcement, and this was thanks to Councillor Sawyer, is that this Thursday, November 6th, there will be an exhibit with photos as well as food and puppy beating to honor Tla-o-qui-aht First Nation vets. So it will happen in the Arts and Commerce Pub under the Legion. The art will be by Wick School, Grace George, Elizabeth George, and there was a puppy beaded for every veteran. So great if you could visit that. It was great to be out in the town on Halloween, and we had a miraculous lack of rain for exactly the time it took for kids to get out there and trick or treat. And it was lovely to see the community come together. It's one of my favorite holidays of the year. And I just want to say how wonderful it is to see 10 teenagers come to the door. And when you say, take 2 candies, they say, no, thank you. 1 is good. We have a remarkable community and some amazing youth. It is the 10th anniversary of the Leviathan 2 incident in Tofino, which was a significantly tragic event. Many people lost their lives, and it impacted our community in profound ways. It felt by families, friends, first responders, residents, and all who were there, who lent their money and their time and their space. It's, in the face of tragedy, we also witnessed remarkable courage. Heroic efforts were made by vessel's crew, passengers, surviving passengers, by fishermen, boat operators, Coast Guard, and all emergency services. And the whole community showed what it's made of. That we come together in times of crisis and care for each other in profound ways. What it means to live in this remote town and region. We think of all the first responders and healthcare workers and community members in Tofino that offered their support in days, I would say weeks that followed. And it has been years, and there are still people here who meet survivors and families of survivors every year for an anniversary. It was a proud to be part of this community. And it's time to just take a moment to remember those who were lost and those whose bravery and kindness carry survivors and families through. Thank you. Public comment on agenda items, Ms. Larson.
Thank you, Mayor Law. I will now make an open. Those in the gallery that wish to speak, if you want to sign up for the 2-minute public comment period. If there's anyone attending online via Zoom, you can sign up using the Q&A. We do have a couple members in attendance virtually. I will just give them an opportunity to sign up. We do have one member who's already signed up online via Zoom. So in just a moment, I can promote them to using their mic so that they can address council. But would anyone like in the public like to sign up for that comment period? Okay.
I can't, I'm not going to, but it's very hard to hear you, everybody. So if you could pump up the voice volume, that would be awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thankfully, that's all you'll have to hear from me tonight. Oh, I am just going to take a moment to unmute Mr. Dave Wharf. And if you can hear me over there, Mr. Wharf, you'll just need to state your name, your residential address, and then which agenda item you'd like to speak to. Okay, there you go.
Hi there, can everybody hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead, Mr. Wharf.
Thank you. My name is Dave Wharf. My residential address is 2583 East 8th Avenue in Vancouver, but I'm here representing Evo Car Share and BCA. I wanted to talk about the agenda item regarding Evo Car Share parking and just talk a little bit very quickly about something that we did this summer and something we'd like to continue doing throughout the part of the winter. So this summer we launched 4 vehicles as a round trip car share service for Tofino, primarily linked up with Harbor Air and the airport, helping serve people that were coming to visit Tofino. What we found was, well, more than half of our trips were actually taken by local residents. And so what we're proposing is to extend our Evo return pilot through February of 2026. We're going to do that with just one single vehicle. This will help support local access. And we're requesting the allocation of a dedicated parking stall and some signage at Municipal Hall or a similar suggested stall for the duration of that winter pilot. At the conclusion of the pilot, we will see if the service was viable, and if so, then we will reallocate it to the prior locations and continue operating through the spring and summer. We'd like to continue and maintain this service. We've had a lot of success with it over the summer, and we're really hoping that the city of Tofino will allow us a parking stall at no cost. And the allowance of some signage so that we can help residents get around during the winter period. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Wharf. Any other members of the public? Okay, moving on to delegations 8.1, we have Ms. Palmer regarding and bylaw 2020.
Presentation up here. Okay, as we're getting the presentation up here, hello, Mayor, Law and Council and staff. Thanks for the opportunity to come here and speak tonight. We're excited. The team members of 320 Tonquin that our third reading is happening on the agenda. And I'm here because we sent a letter to council after the September 9th cow that addressed some of the potential confusion from that presentation. And we also sent another letter on a way forward for growth instead of limits to growth. And this presentation is a fairly quick summary of both of those things. And then we have proposals for council at the end. Next slide. So we wanted to reinforce with council that we're moving back to the original donation plan, that the 2.72 acres will be donated to the district at subdivision as per our first and second reading report to council. And we've withdrawn from the ecological gifts program and its incentives that it brings. And for a little bit of context, we actually did propose withdrawing from the EGP before the COW to move the process forward faster, but was thought that council would think the covenant approach was fine. And we were distressed to see it didn't have full support. So that's why we've removed it. The EGP is not our priority. Our priority has always been to protect the sightlines from Tonquin Beach and Trail and to move forward with full support. Next one. So I just wanted to give you, council, a bit of a visual here. This idea of preserving the community sightlines from Tonquin Beach and Trail. This is a shot standing on our donation land, looking down at Tonquin Beach and Trail. And the arrow points to our corner peg, which is the edge of the donation land, looking down at Tonquin Beach. And then this is the opposite view. I'm standing on the bridge at Tonquin, looking up at that hill. And our donation land is about halfway up that hill. And, you know, as community members, we don't want homes there. And we know a lot of community members don't want homes there. And that's the reason why we think we have so much community support for our project, because we know that long-term residents know there was past development that didn't protect this particular area. And this gives you a little bit of a wider view that those 2.72 acres of donation, which is a third of the property, don't just protect the old growth, but more forest canopy, which we know is really important, that our property is adjacent to the Tonquin Trail and that protected forest. So it's continuity of protecting the forest canopy. And then the 27 trees we're putting on the district significant tree list, that's outside of the donation area and on the property itself, scattered throughout the lots we intend to subdivide. And we just wanted to clarify that there's potentially been miscommunications in past presentations where it was a larger number of trees. And it's always been 27 trees on our property. We advocated for more trees to be put on the list from 340, which is the adjacent lot, as well as a couple on the district land. And it really is only in our right to donate our lands, our trees, as much as we will try to advocate for the others to be added. We've always said, you know, we're striking a balance between housing and conservation, and there's an opportunity for 15 long-term housing in the village and removing the STR short-term rental rights. And there is one house built, and it's on Lot D. That is the future subdivision. So our development is low infrastructure impact. And just to clarify that the report to council tonight, there is a mistake, and the driveway, the access driveway is complete and all the utilities are in place. We've designed this for the right density, for the topography, the forested character, and the community sightlines. So what this means is we're ready for subdivision. Our plan all along was to subdivide 340 Tonquin to fund this stage of our process, which we've completed. We have all the reports required for subdivision, We have stormwater management report. We have a geotechnical report for the steep slopes. We have an environmental impact report. We have water modeling and the successful and completed works and services agreement and been granted a development permit. The road and a home is built and all utilities and services are at the lot lines for the potential lots, and the connections are active for lots C and D, and inspections have been done by the district. So the question of a WAC. So we've been told that there may not be water allocation for our project, despite having been in the queue 2 years before limits to growth was even adopted. The district's bias towards density has led to a bias against our modest project. It's been 3 years to third reading, despite our project not being large or complicated and including a significant zoning. We think that there needs to be a balance between big developer density and citizen-bound projects. And the limits to growth approach halts development, doesn't expand resources, creates a disadvantaged class of taxpayers where there's inequity. There's one large development that gets all the water and it causes a rush for water. And developers like us are forced to sign a financially ruinous agreement that the district may deny water. So we're advocating for a more nuanced, nimble solution that incorporates supplemental water systems, not an all or nothing approach. Because Tofino's water problem is solvable. We know these things. We live in a rainforest abundant with water most of the year, and summer is our constraint period. The district has approved supplemental water systems, rainwater harvesting, wells, gray water reuse. And had this been put in place 5 years ago, it could have extended the resource of water. And we wanted to say accurately that, let's see, that it can be done because we've put one in at 320 Tonquin in our home. And it's a supplemental potable rainwater harvest system. It's engineer certified, it's district approved, and it's fully operational. It provides 100% of household water in the summer months. It's connected to the municipal system, but independent during shortages. It's a unique hybrid system customized for Tofino. And these hybrid systems offer homeowners water security while dramatically reducing the draw on the municipal supply. This is a photo of our catchment tanks, and they hold 6,000 gallons of storage capacity. So a way forward for growth, we believe, is in these supplemental water systems. And at building permit, if a dwelling includes a supplemental water system that can supply 100% of the water in the dry months, the district can and should allow a water connection. It promotes fairness, innovation, and sustainability. It expands resources at no cost to the district and instantly solves the water crisis. So I'm standing here today because we really do feel we need council's help to get this project across the finish line and to realize its full potential. You know, the timelines are ever changing. We were told 6 months for subdivision. It took 2 years, a year to 18 months for rezone. It's taken 3 years to third reading. You know, there's prolonged and uncertain rezone subdivision processes that penalize responsible citizens. We're expected to give ironclad assurances without any back in return. The consequences are financial, emotional, and community-wide. It means delayed housing, lost opportunities, and rising costs. Streamlined, predictable timelines and processes we're advocating for. It helps developers plan responsibly, invest confidently, and deliver outcomes, importantly, for the whole community. So these are our proposals, and I've printed them out as well for your consideration when our third reading is happening.
I think you're at your 10-minute limit.
Okay.
But seeing there's no other delegations, council for another minute.
Okay, I'll just read through the proposals.
Council, can we extend this for a minute? Yes, we'll make a motion, second by Councilor Steer, all in favor. Okay, one moment.
Thank you. So we respectfully request that council approve our third reading. In conjunction, we respectfully propose the following motions. One, that a WAC be granted to 320 Tonquin as a condition of adoption, recognizing our project's community benefits. If there is no available water, direct staff to accept or require a supplemental water system at building permit in order to connect to the municipal water instead of refusing service. Two, reject the recommendation that our rezone be withheld until we agree to conditions in the first draft of the development agreement. Direct staff to negotiate our DA in good faith, promote fairness, and bring a mutually agreed upon DA to council for review without delay. And three, direct staff to complete our subdivision within 1 year of rezone adoption, given previous delays achievable, given prior studies and documentation. Thank you, and we'd be pleased to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. We don't
Thank you.
usually have delegations, but I'll look to council if we require a motion of council. And we can normally when there's this type of thing, we can deal with reports and reporting. So it'll be a good time for council to have this done. But I'm opening it up to council. Does council have any questions for Ms. Palmer? Seeing none. Okay, that's great. We're going to.
Would it be okay if I handed out the proposals for
You can.
motions, just so you have them in view?
You
at the
can
time?
Sure, you can give them to Councilor Anderson.
Yeah, just a few copies. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your presentation.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Hey. Moving on to correspondence, we have 9.1 from S. Watson regarding automated external defibrillators at beach trail heads. Council, comment on this? I'm looking up at our esteemed fire chief. He's available, I believe, for questions on this. And Ms. Atiana, has there been some exploration of this? I think this is. I looked at council, it's a great idea, but how does it look on the back end?
Yeah, we did. We do have the fire chief here, so he'll probably comment on it, and then after that, he's available for questions. That's it.
Yeah, so if you like, I can speak to that a little bit. Our emergency preparedness coordinator, Hillary, is working with Life Saving Society on a beach safety kiosk project. Currently, the vision is to build a pilot beach safety kiosk at the south end of Cox Bay, which would include an AED and other life safety equipment for both on the beach and sort of water rescue. They're looking at something that would be on the beach as opposed to in the trailhead, pending provincial approval and a few other things. So they're hoping to get that completed in 2026. I think the estimated budget for the project is roughly $12,000. Yeah, and that's sort of a broad overview of the project. Yeah.
Maybe I have a question about, I know that's the potential for one AED. I think the community hope would that there were several AEDs easily accessible on maybe Chesterman Beach. How does that look?
Well, I can tell you that currently there are AEDs located at beaches in the parking lot areas. So currently at Chesterman's, we have AEDs located in the North Chesterman parking lot, the Middle Chesterman's area, and the South Chesterman beach parking lots. And then we have an AED on Cox Bay in the Maltby parking lot. And so the beach kiosk initiative would, move the AEDs onto the beach. So, obviously the Maltby parking lot is quite a distance from the beach. So that would improve that access quite a bit more. And then Hillary also is also advocating to the public and to the resorts who also carry AEDs. A lot of the resorts have their own AEDs to use an app called Pulse Point. And on Pulse Point, people who have AEDs can register their AEDs on Pulse Point. And then users can use the app and locate AEDs on there, so they can find them there. And so all of the district AEDs are registered there. So we have AEDs at all those beach locations, and then there's one in this building and at the community hall that are on that app.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Master first.
Yeah.
Which, what about the AEDs downtown? I mean, what about the skate park, tennis courts, pickleball courts? Because I just went through an incident a month ago where I had to use the AED at parks for somebody on the pickleball court.
Okay, yeah, that is a good question. I don't know if we're looking at putting an AED there specifically. But yeah, we can look at that. I know, for example, that there's an AED across the street here at the community theater, but that's not necessarily accessible all the time. There's one at the fire hall, but that's accessible only to the firefighters who would be responding to an incident like that. Yeah, so I guess that would merit further investigation. Yeah.
Pickleball court's an excellent idea.
Yeah, for sure.
The pickleball. Yeah, great. Fantastic.
Oh, there's one upstairs in the office.
Councilor Steer.
Yeah, through the chair. Thank you for that. I will be at that meeting with the Life Saving Society in Hillary, and we've been having discussions. It's part of my day job that I do for a living. And one of the things that we had discussed were some of those other locations that Pastor had referred to, and I also I have the potential of a donation of 3 AEDs. There would be some cost associated with the battery and the pad maintenance. But that's a possibility as well that I'll be sharing with that at that meeting. It is an excellent idea. It's well known throughout the communities, and it's the Pulse Point is an excellent app. I hear people use apps. So anyways, so thank you for that. And I think there's a lot more discussion to be had, but the idea would certainly come to fruition. And I think we can all appreciate post community member where the potential, there's the potential where the quick access to that may have been beneficial in that case. So thank you.
For sure. Thank you.
The further comments from council?
Great. Thank you.
More on that. 9.2 questions from Ms. Mason regarding Gibson Street safety concern. Comments from council? Councilor?
Yeah, I just want to thank Adrian Mason for the letter. And it's always good to get direct feedback like this from the residents living along the streets that helps us understand how our public works projects are benefiting or not benefiting neighborhoods.
Yeah, Councilor Steer.
Through the chair, maybe a question to staff. There were a number of particular concerns that had been brought over to the state of Gibson Street between First and Third, and a number that were identified within in the letter, those specifics. And I'm just wondering, has staff had the opportunity to respond to the letter writer, and if some of those what I consider legitimate concerns, have they been looked at by staff at this time?
Through the chair, thank you, Councillor Steer, for the question. We do have Mr. Kirkland join us virtually tonight, and he is prepared to speak to this letter. We haven't had a chance to respond yet or fully look into the letter, but he has had a sort of preliminary look at it. He can't turn his video on, so it's probably going to be audio only. He is in transit.
Mr. Kirkland, would you like to speak on Gibson Street?
Yeah, through the chair, if I may, and just to confirm everyone is able to hear me.
Yeah, perfect. You go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, just through the chair to speak to some of the things that staff have done in response to the letter while implementing the roadway is installing school signage. Staff have installed physical delineation between traffic, vehicular traffic and pedestrian traffic. Staff also installed a speed bump prior to the intersection and installed a stop sign and end of one-way signage. On the second piece of what was listed in the letter about stormwater management, there are 2 catch basins currently in place, which is sufficient to convey surface stormwater. However, in the ongoing kind of stormwater maintenance, as the public can kind of see that Public Works has been doing around town, staff will be looking at that area to do some grading to ensure that stormwater is conveyed to the appropriate catch basins and locations.
Excellent. And maybe just an update, is there, what is the timeline for improvements to that, larger improvements, whether it's paving, is it in our financial plan? Something that's.
Yeah, through the chair, at this time, there is a design project slated for 2028 to look at redesigning that corridor. And at that time, staff would be looking to gather community feedback and do some community engagement in the development of that design.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kirkland. Any comments from council, questions from council? Councilor Steer?
Yeah, thank you through the chair. Mr. Kirkland, could you reiterate the 2028 timeline? It's a couple of years away. And could you explain, maybe just for my understanding, I missed part of that, what the actual work proposed for that is?
Certainly, Councillor Steer, and through the chair, the work would entail designing, at this time, scope to design a 2-way roadway through that location, connecting Gibson Street all the way down to First Street.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no more comments. 9.3 Evo our share. We had that staff may have looked at this. I know that there may be issues, and maybe this is something that staff can bring back and look that the community charter restricts or prohibits municipalities from conferring or giving advantage to businesses. And I'm wondering if that maybe can be addressed, and maybe a little bit more can be addressed by staff. Come back to council with that. Ms. Tatiana, go ahead.
Yeah, I may be able to just compare this to a similar situation we've had in the past with the Return It Center, which is located up at the Public Works Yard, with a request for a business to come and place that there. Because we can't provide assistance to business, we had to enter into a notice of disposition plan and then a lease agreement. So we likely couldn't do that for this scenario if we were to offer a free space on our property within the timelines that they're requesting. There may be an opportunity to offer a spot that is, on highways or something like that, but that may have some challenges as well. So if council is interested in this concept, it's best to refer it to staff. And because of the short timelines, we likely wouldn't report back to council on this one, but we can look into see if it is a possibility to have something in place up until February of 2026, is my understanding.
Okay, certainly. I'm going to look to council.
I think that this sounds like a good idea. It seems like community members really enjoyed this service. So.
Okay. Is anybody opposed to referring this to staff? Okay, seeing none, I think we have. Oh, go ahead.
I'd be interested in referring it to staff, understanding the turnaround on if it were for the period of the winter or 1 year, if there was a set deadline on it, so that we could review the impact and the benefits.
Let's what we can do is refer to staff with limitations. What you're saying?
Just for a determined timeline. Does that make sense? So it's not open-ended, so that we're not deciding that yes, this can have a parking spot here in perpetuity.
Perhaps what we can do is let's do this. Let's refer it to staff, because I think council thinks it's a good idea. I'm looking around to see if it's even possible and under what conditions it's possible, and then we can have that discussion when staff come back with a report. Except you're not going to get a report back.
No, because that's why I brought it up.
For clarity, they are proposing a set timeline.
Yeah.
With it ending in February. That is their proposal.
As long as that's part of it is what I'm saying.
Okay, let's go back. Ms. Atiana, what can we do here?
We will only look at the request for the timeline that's in the letter.
Okay.
So our look at this would be to see if it's possible to offer a space without any cost, you know, and making sure we're meeting all legislative requirements for the period that's being asked for up to February of 2026. If we can't do it, we'll have to say no, and I can just update council by email.
And if you can do it, it can go ahead and be done.
Yeah.
You'll get council's permission.
No, but if we refer it to staff, then that would be sufficient.
Okay, well, let's refer this to staff. I don't think we need a motion to refer it to staff. Yes, we do. Okay, I'll move that we refer the Evo car share proposal. Yeah. Seconded by Councilor Steer. Any further comments? All in favor? Not opposed, motion carried. Okay, correspondence from Rebecca Hurwitz, Executive Director, Quakewood Advice for Trust regarding letter of thanks for 25th anniversary event. Thank you very much, Ms. Hurwitz. Fun event. I had a lot of fun. It's great to be there. Comments from council? Seeing none? Okay, moving on. Correspondence from Vancouver Island Regional Library Board regarding 2026 appointments. Do have a recommendation here to appoint a council member. I believe we have one eager council member. Councilor Sawyer. All right, seeing, is there going to be a competition for Councilor Sawyer? I'm looking around.
It makes her so happy.
Okay, yes, no, okay, no competition. Excellent. I think it's great. I love this. I love hearing about it. It's great work. So would somebody like to read the recommendations if there are no other comments from council?
I can move that. Councilor Sawyer be appointed as trustee, and we have a second. Councilor McMaster be appointed as alternate to the Vancouver Island Regional Library Board of Trustees beginning January 1st, 2026, for a term ending earliest of council appoints another council member. Council member ceases to hold office. Council member is removed for cause as provided under the Library Act, December 31st, 2026.
Second by Councilor Thomas. Any further comments?
Just a quick comment. Yeah, there was just in the correspondence, and it just maybe for staff, Florence Pelchet was CC'd as legislative service coordination. So maybe just in terms of Burl's contact list, that is updated.
Oh, okay. I think staff have got there. For the comments, all in favor? None opposed, motion carried. Presentation and reports. 10.1, invited presentation from Brad Purcell. So.
All right. While we wait for the presentation to come up, good evening, Mayor, and Council and staff. Thanks for having me. It's actually the last council meeting that I'll be talking to you, but I have two presentations tonight. The first one you're very familiar with is just our tactical plan for next year. We are still operating under the 2022 to 2027 5-year strategic business plan for MRDT. So it's kind of a continuation of what you've seen in previous years. But we will quickly go through it. It is a little weird presenting a plan that I'm not going to be here to execute, but as you may have read today, the person who is going to be leading the team is actually in the room. There is intervening. So let's jump into it. If this is going to work. Yeah. Oops. There we go. So it's attached to your agenda. You'll be familiar with this. I'll try to move through this as quickly as I can. I know you're in for a bit of a long night by the sound of it. So there are 3 sections. There's the 5-year strategic overview, which doesn't really change with a few learnings from this current year. And the biggest thing that's is the destination stewardship plan, which I'm talking about in the next presentation. Then the actual plan itself in terms of tactics and objectives, and then of course the money side of it, how it's going to be paid for. You all know that we have 3 key service delivery areas: marketing, visitor services, and stewardship, as well as an admin component, and that we provide MRDT to the wastewater treatment plant. We're going to talk about this next, but this is probably the biggest thing that's changed year over year is starting, even though we are still working on the current 5-year plan and we're building a new 5-year plan from 2027 onwards, this is starting to inform some of the thinking moving forward. So I'm just going to really quickly walk you through the service delivery areas. Again, there's nothing sort of wholesale different that you haven't seen before. We do have a new marketing strategy that we're almost finished that's based off of the destination stewardship plans. We'll be looking to implement that as well as implementing new research that we picked up in 2025 along the way. But otherwise, brand and paid media all look exactly like you're used to seeing. We'll do, and I should mention that all of our marketing is for non-peak times. We haven't marketed summer for a very, very long time now. Some of the other littler things in there is raising awareness of airlines. You'll probably seen some of the news around the new Harbour Air service, and so working with them, Pacific Coastal and other folks. Obviously working with the nations area and really starting to center what we do in marketing around the ESOC pledge. Leveraging our partnerships with Destination BC to reach places like Germany, the UK, and then supporting festivals and events outside of peak summer time. There we go. And then our own channels, again, really the new thing here is trying to integrate storytelling and the ESOC pledge into things, but we run organic social media channels. We have an email newsletter, and obviously the website is one of our biggest own channels, which we continue to improve on. And then our earned media, which is travel media and communications. So again, trying to get Tofino into travel media with a renewed focus on Indigenous tourism and the ESOC pledge. And then the corporate communication efforts just to industry and residents will continue. That's the super quick flyby of marketing. Visitor services, I know you're all pretty familiar with what we do out at the visitor center, but making sure that our staff are adequately trained, trying to put, particularly in the summertime when we see the most visitation at the visitor center, trying to put non-peak ideas in front of them and welcome them back in the wintertime. Obviously continuing to meet visitors where they are and being out and about. In Chester van, we had a sexy new electric van. There's lots of talk about whether we can get one of those permanently. We had to give it back at the end of this summer. And continuing to animate the visitor center itself with workshops, presentations, and things of that nature, and starting to think about, again, how we can activate the ESOC pledge in the visitor services department. And then our stewardship program, led by Jody Kirk. So the biggest thing there is actually implementing this. I mean, provided council adopts it, we will implement the Tofino Destination Stewardship Plan, start firing up some working groups. And then there are lots of other things on the docket in terms of more opportunities for volunteerism, creating new itineraries and routes and sort of gamifying things like the ESOC pledge, potentially continuing to support the First Nations and their vision of tourism in their territories, responsible visitor messaging, which this group's very familiar with water conservation, and things of that nature. Resident engagement and resident sentiment continues to be a huge measure of what we're going to do moving forward. We have a resident survey in market right now about this summer that I'm sure someone will present to you at some point. Environmental sustainability, it kind of creeped out under the radar, but a couple months ago we did get certified as a destination with the Biosphere tourism program, which is exciting. So now we have our baseline and we can measure year over year from there. Continuing to engage youth in the region around tourism and offering our scholarship program, looking at seasonality, trying to build capacity within tourism in the nations. Some industry development, creating opportunities for members to connect and sharing information with them, and some advocacy, which goes on obviously with our partners here at the District of Tofino. The administration is the less sexy part of what we do, but the big takeaway here is we try to be very accountable, transparent, and in alignment with the community, and particularly with the District of Tofino's plans and strategies. Maintaining reserve funds, operating in a sustainable manner, all of those kinds of things. So I won't really belabor that too much. It's keeping me on my toes tonight. There we go. And then, of course, the $400,000 contribution to the wastewater treatment plant, which is from this current 5-year period. And then in terms of the money, it really hasn't changed a whole lot under this 5-year plan of how we allocate resources at Tourism Tofino. So it hasn't changed in the 3 years I've been here. We're still 90% funded by the MRDT. But we do see sort of revenues growing out of the visitor center, predominantly through our retail program with local artists and vendors. We can only really budget for one grant a year that we always know we're going to get, which is Destination BC gives us 25,000 to operate the visitor center. And then how that all gets out the door across the year is a kind of a bit of a pie wheel there of how it gets split across the service delivery areas. So marketing, will always be a big part of what we do, but you can see really healthy chunks of the pie for visitor services, destination stewardship, admin sitting around 10 or 11%, and then the contribution to the wastewater treatment plant. So projecting total revenues of just over 3 million for Tourism Tofino, and that doesn't include the OAP and the Tofino Housing Corporation and everything that they do. So that's my super quick flyby over 2026. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Those are amazing numbers. I don't think, I'm not sure that people understand how amazing these numbers are. for exorbitant. Yeah, and how that's benefiting our community.
Comments from council, questions?
Sure. Actually, no, sorry, I'll wait.
Okay. Carry on, we'll get you on the end.
All right, cool. Well, that's that. And then I guess you're on to the next, so I'll get you to set up the next part.
It's kind of funny to come up for one slide, but thank you, Council. Thank you, Brad. All right, so I'm back with Brad. Essentially tonight, you've just heard about the Destination Stewardship Plan. But tonight we're hoping that adoption takes place. So we're hoping that the Destination Stewardship Plan be adopted as a district's tourism master plan to guide all strategies, policies, and projects related to tourism. So since the last time we met, a few positive things have taken place that Brad will mention. All I'll say before handing things off is that my staff and I look forward to utilizing this plan really in its vision and data and all of the efforts associated with planning that's related to RMI funding or MRDT funding, which does cross our desk. With that, you're back.
Amazing.
Thanks. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, it has been, definitely a really cool collaboration between tourism and District of Tofino. I think we talked about this last time, the purpose of why we did it. So I won't sort of go over it too much again. And I'm not going to run you through the entire plan again. I think you've all read it. To Josh's point, though, since our last presentation to council, the Tourism Tofino Board of Directors met for their annual board retreat. Sarah Sloman was there as the appointed appointed director for the District of Tofino, where we actually spent the whole first afternoon workshopping the Destination Stewardship Plan, doing a deep dive into it and talking about what the ramifications are for the next 5-year strategic plan for Tourism Tofino and starting to build some of those concepts, values, and visions into that plan. The Tourism Tofino Board has formally adopted the Destination Stewardship Plan by resolution. And I didn't see it in the agenda package, but there was a letter of support that came across from Tla-o-qui-aht First Nation, which I have a copy of on my phone. I can read it to you if you haven't seen it. But they're obviously been huge partners in putting this together, and their letter really expresses some, they're really satisfied with where the project landed. So those are kind of the big things that have shifted since we last got together a few weeks ago to talk about the Destination Stewardship Plan. Again, just, a quick reminder that, it's all centered around this concept of having a respectful tourism industry, or the new channel concept of ESOC. That's kind of the plan on a page. So condensing it all down into one quick snapshot of the kind of vision, the responsibility, the 7 sort of pillars of how we're going to get there. And then the ESOC pledge goal at the bottom there. Just another way to kind of visualize it. And I believe you have a recommendation in front of you, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And just before I sign off for the last time, just really want to thank Mayor, Council, and District of Tofino staff for being really great partners for the last 3 years. I think we achieved a lot, this chief among them. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I do have a note that the recommendation didn't make it under. That's, but I think it was, so I just want to look up to Ms. Larson. So go ahead. Maybe what we'll do is we'll bring it back up. You can have this. Okay, thank you very much. Questions, comments for Mr. Purcell before we go ahead and this motion, Councilor Steer.
Just a quick thank you as well for the incredible work over the last 3 years and the relationship that we built with Tourism Tofino under your leadership, and it is much appreciated. And you've left a great legacy here, and I was going to do all that personally, but the meeting, I think it would be appropriate. Your work has been highly valued.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Councilor Sawyer.
Just the same thing that Councillor Steer just said. Thanks for the last report here, and it's been a pleasure working with you and seeing such a great plan be developed.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Normally we have like some sort of thing, but I'm going to come up and shake your hand. You've been an excellent,
Sweet.
excellent
Appreciate it.
contribution to Tofino and the region and look with. We very much appreciate it. And all the work Tourism Tofino does. Having said that, would somebody like to read them?
Okay. I move that the Tofino Destination Stewardship Plan be adopted as the district tourism master plan to guide all its strategies, policies, and projects related to tourism.
Councillor Thomas, beat you to it. Any further comments from council? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed, motion is carried. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
We're going to call a point of privilege for Okay,
That's right.
Just started.
okay, we're gonna reconvene. 10.3 zoning amendment bylaw number 1351. Ms. Krita?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This evening I will be presenting on the zoning amendment for 320 Tonquin Park Road. Just a brief summary as we are familiar with this property and this application, but there have been some changes since I last spoke with you at the committee as a whole. So just a refresher, the subject property is located within the future homes land use designation, which is within the village containment area. It encompasses a total area of about 3.36 hectares and currently is zoned A2, which permits a minimum lot area of 4.9 acres. So in order to accommodate the 5-lot subdivision, a zoning amendment is required. The proposed lot configuration is there on the right-hand side. A little bit of background. So history of the application moving through the stream that was received in 2022. Permission to proceed was initially granted in March 28th of 2023, and first and second reading were granted back in February of this year. At that time, public hearing was waived as per the Local Government Act and the new policy that is regarding housing developments. September 29th, as I mentioned, we presented to committee as a whole, and that was related to a change in the application, a substantial change to the original proposal. The COW presentation was intended to provide the applicants with a bit of a sense of which direction to take the proposal and give council an opportunity to either approve or deny the recommendation to move for the advance the file. Following that meeting that received support, the applicants opted to revert to the initial proposal. So that brings us to today. The proposal is back to what you would have received during the presentation for first and second reading. So we're still looking to facilitate a 5-lot subdivision. The maximum dwellings per lot is capped at 3. We have excluded the short-term rental and bed and breakfast uses. The donation is back on the table. So we've got a 2.7 acre donation that is to be secured through a development agreement. There was no cash community amenity contribution in light of the environmental contribution and community benefit associated with the land donation and the significant trees that are to be contributed to the significant tree bylaw, totaling 27. So changes to the proposal since second reading include just a text amendment. So there is a title change. I included the number 1 to allow flexibility for future CD zones, potential for future redevelopments of other areas of the Tonquin Park area, as well as strengthening language. So just really solidifying that exclusion of the short-term rental and bed and breakfast uses. And then added in the housing typology flexibility. So now permitting 2-family dwellings. That was in response since the initial application came forward. Changes to the small scale housing provincial regulations. We want to sort of align our policy to, although we're exempt from a lot of those regulations, we want to support a lot of that sort of flexibility for development of denser properties. So the conservation park piece was added in at the time that the initial amendment was brought forward to council. That was to support the covenant that we were to apply onto the property. I opted to maintain that use within the zone just as a benefit for any potential park use that we might gain through a land donation. And then the significant tree bylaw contribution was reduced from 45 to 27. Again, that's just limiting the trees to the subject property. We excluded the ones from outside the lot lines. So next steps, the bulk of the work is going to be in developing the covenant or the agreement. So this is ensuring we secure that parkland dedication that has been promised. We want to make sure the geotech oversight for any additional land disturbance was brought forward during the referral. So the building inspector recommended this piece. And as well, the installation of sprinklers for buildings helps that will mitigate the fire flow deficiency. So through the subdivision process, if we determine that this is the way forward, then that pieces in place to ensure that we're not putting the community or that area of the Algonquin Park area that's already at a deficiency doesn't further impact the infrastructure. And then the last piece is an important one, which is the acknowledgement of the water connection. So this again protects the district's interests and infrastructure, and ensuring that all parties are aware that at the time of building permit, the district does retain the right to refuse a water service based on water supply available at the time. So this is a three-part recommendation before you today. First one being that we want to bring the bylaw forward, introduce it for third reading. The second is to accept it as amended with those minor changes that I noted. And then the third piece is to withhold adoption. So we want to make sure that it's on record that we are securing that development agreement prior to any adoption is formalized. Just in response to the delegation earlier, that is new information that was brought forward to staff. Up until today, I was unaware that there was an unwillingness to move forward with the development agreement. And so this will be something that staff will have to work with the applicants moving forward. It does not change the staff's recommendation or motion though. Because again, it just secures the district's interests in protecting our infrastructure, as well as promises that were made. So the adoption of the District of Tofino significant tree bylaw is another significant piece to this, which I'm going to present after this presentation today, which I'll dig a little further into. But the adoption is a component of the proposal as well. So we want to ensure that adoption moves forward before the adoption of the rezoning to secure that guarantee.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Cooper.
All right. I look forward to answering any questions you may have.
I'm going to open it up to council for questions. We can go down the line or we can questions from Cooper. Councilor Steer.
Yeah, thank you through the chair. Just a quick question on the last part that you're talking about in terms of adoption and the work that needs to be done to get to that point. Is there a rough time frame for how much time that's going to take to do the work that needs to be done so that we can have it for us for adoption?
The timeline is going to be based on how the applicants and staff can move through that process. So it's hard to estimate. It's going to be heavily dependent on how much time those documents spend within the on the legal side of things under legal review, which is not under the control of staff or the applicants. It's hard to give you a firm number, but sorry, I've got a frog. But I think that it would be reasonable to move through this process within 6 months at a maximum.
Councilor Sawyer.
Yeah, so my question is just looking to make sure I understand everything clearly. Definitely, given that a lot of the community was concerned about the reduction in the trees that were being named for the tree protection bylaw. And also the fact that this application has gone through a few changes and is now back again. So the trees that would be protected would be on the private property. And then there is now, again, going to be a land donation, which would then become protected parkland under a covenant, which would then further protect those trees. Am I correct in understanding that?
Thank you for the question. Yes, through the chair. So there are two major components. The significant tree we're treating as sort of an isolated stream because it's going to move through its own bylaw and receive its own protections through that significant bylaw itself. It's an enforceable mechanism. Through the land donation, yes, we could effectively reserve and preserve all of that wilderness area, the 2.7 acres. It will, once we receive that donation, the district will have an opportunity to dig in further, to do more investigations as to how we want to use that land, what level of protection we want to apply to it. So the development agreement itself is only going to secure that transfer guarantee. And then we can work with the applicants if there's something that they want to add on prior to the land donation. or if that's something that the council wants to add on prior to the development agreement, is stronger protections through a covenant, a conservation covenant. That would be your discretion.
Can I make a follow-up comment? Yeah, in that vein, I would be in favor of placing a covenant on that land, respecting the applicant's views on that as well. That's very steep and that it's not entirely suitable for trails. We already have a trail system in that area that putting trails in there would just kind of have them lead up to a cliff and go nowhere. So I'd be strongly in favor of looking at that land, protecting it, making sure that it also protects the slope degradation down to the beach, and make sure that we're not setting ourselves up for any slides in the future as we experience more rainfall events.
Any other questions, comments from council? Comments? I have a question actually about, I respect the applicant's anxiety about the water allocation certificate, and I'm acknowledging their offer to build a supplemental water system. How does that work right now? And is that something, how will that work in the future? I know we're reviewing our limits to growth policy and water allocation, and I know those questions will be coming to there. And is there maybe a heads up on how that may work for this applicant, where it's still connected to the system, but they have enough non-municipal water to carry them through the summer months? How does that work?
Thank you for the question through the chair. So this is something that staff are working on behind the scenes. There's a lot of moving parts at the moment, trying to formalize covenants and ensure protection of the municipal system. It's been identified that if there is an interest in developing properties that integrates alternative water systems, how does that affect us on, we're gonna have to look at a number of factors, how we're metering the sewer, because of course that's measured on, it's based on the water intake. So if someone's still connected to the sewer system, how are we managing that? Just backflow prevention, if someone's just revenue implications. There's a number of factors that we're going to have to look at, but it is possible. So what we're recommending to applicants and to anyone sort of moving through development processes right now is to stay the course. And then ultimately at the building permit stage, there will be opportunities to integrate creative design and alternative systems. And we're really looking to the community to support us in that endeavor, bring forward some examples, which they've, as they presented earlier, they have an on-site example. And so really looking at those systems and seeing what's working, what's not working, and sort of build up a bit of a standardized process moving forward.
Great. And just maybe to clarify that, I know council has talked about it, that council and staff are extremely supportive of novel solutions to our very difficult problem. So just maybe to reassure residents and applicants that this is not a hurdle, but an opportunity to work together. I believe, was there, did you have your hand up, Councilor Steer?
I think you asked the question.
Okay,
I was going to
Councilor Sawyer.
Question for clarity there. Am I correct in understanding that as a district, we are not able to require buildings to provide their own rainwater collection because we can only uphold building codes that are provincially set? Like if the province doesn't require rainwater catchment, then we can't require rainwater catchment? Maybe I'm looking this way for answers.
I might defer that to.
Yeah.
To the chair, council, sorry. Basically, yes.
Yeah.
There are some avenues that municipalities can explore. It's been a couple of years since I've been into that bylaw. That's 3 years, and so, but basically we can't go outside of BC building code, and so we can support applicants who are going through that process, and we have, there are many buildings in Tofino that have alternative water systems and alternative water piping. So it's not that we say no, we can't make somebody do at this point.
Thank you. I think that,
and if I might add, in the chair, there are provincial, federal, and international standards that we will hold those systems up against. We just can't require them to
Thank you. I think I was just looking for an answer that many people wonder, why don't we make everyone have a rainwater catchment? And that is the answer I was looking for. Thank you.
Strongly suggest. Yes. I just wait. One last comment, because I know that the applicants have asked for motions. But we have staff's recommendations in front of us, and I think that my feeling is that a lot of the concerns addressed. Councillor, sorry, say it again. Any further comments from council?
I'd just like to make one comment, and maybe it's a clarification on one of their requests or proposals, and their proposals to direct staff to complete our subdivision within 1 year. And I don't think if they're talking about the subdivision approving officer, I don't think council can direct.
That's a good, that's a good point. I think that I do think that there are some limitations, and I'm maybe looking up to our corporate officer, but I think that is really beyond our scope and ability as staff, as council to do that. I think there's some things in these proposals that are beyond our ability as council to do, and I think we have to stick to our established policies, bylaws, and the way that we do things, and I'm fairly confident that things will work out. All right. Any further comments, questions? Seeing none, would somebody volunteer to read the recommendations for us?
I'll go for it then. That the District of Tofino zoning bylaw number 1351/2025 be amended as shown in Appendix 1 to the staff report titled Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 1351, 320 Tonquin Park Road, third reading, dated November 4, 2025.
Second by Councillor Thomas. Any further comments? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
That the District of Tofino zoning bylaw number 1351/2025 be read a third time as amended.
Second by Councillor Master. Any further comments? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
And finally, that adoption of District of Tofino zoning bylaw number zoning amendment, thank you. Bylaw number 1351/2025 be withheld until the following conditions are satisfied. The execution of a development covenant confirming parkland transfer, geotech requirement prior to further land clearing, requirement of sprinklers to mitigate fire flow deficiencies, and right to refuse water service connection acknowledgement. Adoption of District of Tofino significant tree bylaw amendment number 856-03/2025.
Second by Councillor Thomas. Any further comments? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. All right, thank you. Priva, you're up again.
I'm loitering because I'm up again.
Good, you're good.
Can we make maybe one comment? Yeah.
Have the right title up there. I know, right? Significant tree, very good. Let's just look into it.
Happy to do a verbal report.
I think we've all got it.
Yeah.
Hey?
Yeah.
Can you do it? We can visualize in our brain.
You're good theme. Your own schematics.
I'm gonna try one more time, Jill.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, let's see. I can just go try and grab it from the.
It's in the agenda wrong.
I have it on the desktop. Yeah, weird. Sorry, it's not funny.
Appendix?
Appendix 1 is correct. And the agenda, if we can. You want me to pull up appendix 1 to look at? Yeah, if just really helps me, you're gonna have something to speak to, maybe. Just give me a minute, I'll have to go find it, because this is our council chambers laptop.
You can do it. I think you can paint the picture in our minds.
I can if you'd like.
I feel like I removed the map from the previous presentation. Fresh on the mind, 320 Tonquin. So, good evening, Mayor and Council. This evening I'm presenting on the significant tree amendment bylaw, number 853.03. So this is an amendment to our existing significant tree bylaw. It is the inclusion of 27 trees on subject property 320 Tonquin. I think the report is generally, I feel like the report covers it quite clearly, but I just wanted to drive home the additional sort of benefits of adding these trees to the significant tree bylaw, or that it gives us stronger protections and enforcement mechanism for either damaging or removal of significant trees. And so this not only identifies a lot of large diameter trees or trees of heritage, landmark, or habitat value, but it gives us that, so it assists us with mapping them, but then also gives us protection measures. So other than that, there's not really too much to add. I do invite you, there are some questions on me.
I think it's pretty straightforward, and it is in the, it's not up there, but it is in our package.
Yeah.
Sure that everybody is fairly well aware. Comments or questions from council? Councilor Steer.
Yeah, maybe just a comment. This is, I really want to acknowledge the fact that, these are 27 significant trees that the applicant has brought forward, and subsequent donation, potential donation of those parklands. This is somewhat unprecedented in our community. So it has to be acknowledged how significant this is, especially being adjacent to one of our most coveted in-town parks. And so I really wanted to bring that forward. And I'm super glad to be able to support this amendment.
Other comments, Councilor Sawyer?
Yeah, I just wanted to echo Councilor Steer and really recognize that these trees are being nominated by community members as well as the owners of the property, and that it's really good to see all sorts of interests come together to protect our natural world that still exists in town, even with all the houses.
Councilor Anderson.
Yeah, I also want to acknowledge the donation, and I think in my way of thinking of our significant tree bylaw, it's quite difficult for a body of government to go out and, especially on private property, designate significant trees. So what's my vision for Tofino in considering significant trees on private property is that owners or developers would come forward and identify those trees and add them to the inventory of significant trees. So this is the most we've seen movement on significant trees at all in Tofino. And I don't think that can be emphasized enough. I would like to even think that it might inspire other people to come forward and declare significant trees on their own properties, or to try and find a way that the district could add to that inventory. So I think this is exemplary, and it would certainly, I don't know if it will create a pathway for other significant trees to be added to that inventory and, but, you know, given the difficulty and the years that we've been trying to have significant trees designated at all, it's quite exemplary and maybe an example of how we might move forward in the future.
Yeah, the applicants, I mean, they're ideally aligned with community and council vision. So I just hope to see that some of this communication and be overcome and that together constructively, beneficially. So yeah, I do applaud the applicants and the staff. Seeing that, and that's for the whole application. But anyway, who would like to read this recommendation?
I'll move that the District of Tofino Significant Tree Amendment Bylaw number 856-03, 2025 be introduced and read a first, second, and third time.
Given by Councilor McMaster, any further comments? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed, motion carried. Thank you. It's good. Unfinished business, no unfinished business. Business initiated by council members. Do we have any committee or external appointment verbal reports? Seeing none. Question period. Ms. Larson.
Thank you, Mayor Law.
For question period.
You still have one member of the public in attendance via Zoom. So right now I'll open it up for questions. It's similar in process to the public comment period. If there's anyone in attendance in the gallery that would like to ask questions on anything from the agenda, you can raise your hand and we'll add you to the list. And if you are in participating virtually via Zoom and you would like to ask any questions, just use the Q&A function to let us know, and you'll be required to state your name, your residential address, and the agenda item you'd like to ask a question about. Calling once, calling twice, calling 3 times, and there are no questions, Mayor Law.
Okay, thank you. Then I'll move the chair that the meeting closed to the public pursuant to section 91I of the community charter to discuss matters related to receipt of a device that is subject to solicitor client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. Seconded, please. Seconded. Steer, all in favor? None opposed, motion carried. So we're going to take a little break to move into the close.
20.
Being at 20.